Hey, welcome to Facebook Groups Made Simple. This is your complete guide to Facebook groups. My name is Mike Morris and I'm a pastor and I'll be your instructor for this course. I'm so glad you've joined me for this complete guide. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I've been a full-time lead pastor for over 14 years now. Before that, I was a youth leader for over 10 years. So I've been in ministry a long time now. So I've seen a lot of change in technology. When I first started out, it was really interesting. I remember doing worship with the overhead projectors and printing out transparencies and using MIDI files for worship. A lot has changed. Let me just tell you, in the last 2 decades. But when I got on Facebook, and the year was actually 2007, I got on pretty early and started using it. I realized pretty quickly that this was something different. I remember sitting at my desk, and at the time I was working as an engineer and doing part-time youth ministry, and I told some of my coworkers when Facebook, when it went public, I'm like, man, this would be so good. I wanted to buy some of the initial shares, some of the IPO shares, and I'm like, I think this is really going to be good. Of course, I didn't do it. If I would have, I probably would have a whole lot more money today, but who knows? I think God, he he has me where He wants me, and I know that this course has the potential to really help you in your ministry. So let me tell you a little bit about this course. We're going to go over a lot of details, and this lesson is kind of your introduction, and so it's going to look a little different than the others. The others, I'll be going step by step and sharing my screen and walking you through the process. I'm not going to do that in this lesson because I just want to share a little bit about why every church needs a Facebook group. And so after that, we'll be talking in the other lessons, we'll be talking about understanding the settings for your group and going step by step through all the settings and how to set those up effectively for your church. We'll be talking about a step-by-step guide to launching a successful group. And so I'll walk you through the whole launching process to share it with your church. I'll talk about how to manage the group and keep people connected. And so that's a huge part of Facebook groups. And so I've been part of good groups. I've been part of groups that are not so good. And how you manage them really makes a big difference. We'll be talking about the advanced features, about the messaging rooms, about post topics, about guides, about Facebook Live, all sorts of things that we can do inside of the group to increase engagement, to help us reach more people, to help us keep people connected. And then we'll be talking about how to use the group insights to grow your church. And so a lot of information to cover. We've even thrown in a bonus lesson, which was a free Facebook workshop I did about 3 secrets to launching a successful Facebook group. So you'll find that bonus lesson there as well if you want to go back and kind of find out more about this course. Here's what I believe. I believe that Facebook groups are one of the most underutilized tools for online ministry today. Most churches have a Facebook page and they understand what pages are, but they really don't understand Facebook groups. They don't understand why they need it. They don't understand what they do, and they don't understand how to keep it going. And so that's really what we want to do in this course, is to explore that and to learn more about it. If you don't know, nearly 1/3 of the world's population is on Facebook. It's mind-boggling. It's absolutely amazing how many people are on Facebook. You think about that. You think about how we now have the opportunity to do ministry from wherever you're at, and in real time, people from around the world can join in and take part in what you're doing. They can watch a live stream of your service. You can message back and forth. You can video chat. This was inconceivable just a decade ago. The power we now have for free. And so that's why I get excited about Facebook, because it opens up opportunities for us to reach more people. It's another tool. And believe me when I say this, that Facebook is just one of many tools we have at our disposal, but it's a tool that we can use and it can really help us reach more people. You think about in the church history when sound amplification first started, and there were people against that you shouldn't use it. But what did it do? It allowed you to speak to larger crowds, to be heard effectively. You think about the video projectors just in our recent history. A lot of churches were against that. We don't need screens. We need it. We have our hymnals. We don't need screens. They're a distraction. And now we've worked past that. So what we see now is that most churches accept that video screens are an effective way to help us reinforce what we're talking about, what we're speaking, so people retain what we teach. And so I really feel like Facebook is one of those tools that help us. It helps us to reach more people. It helps us to build community. It helps us to do discipleship. And so when we look at the mission of Facebook, when they first started, their mission was this. It says to give people the power to share and make the world more open and connected. Now that was their initial mission and vision for the company. But they changed it a few years ago, and now here's what they say their mission is. Facebook's mission is to give people the power to build community and to bring the world closer together. People use Facebook to stay connected with friends and family, to discover what's going on in the world, and to share and express what matters to them. And I don't know if you caught it, but at the beginning, Facebook's mission is to give people the power to build community. As a church, much of what we do is about building a community of faith. It's about getting people together and working together to accomplish the mission that God has given us as churches. And so Facebook can be a tool that we can use to do that. Back in 2018, Facebook rolled out a new algorithm. An algorithm is just simply, it's a formula that Facebook uses to determine what shows up in your newsfeed. And it's interesting, I was setting up a new Facebook profile for someone just today. And it was amazing how quickly, after just adding a few friends, that it started suggesting you should be friends with this person. Do you want to add this person? And it started showing things in their newsfeed that they haven't even liked yet, but they thought they may like. That's the power of the Facebook algorithm. It predicts who you want to be friends with. It predicts what you want to see. And in 2018, they made a drastic change to the Facebook algorithm. What they did, they came up with a new algorithm that's called Facebook Zero. And what they did, they determined that what people really wanted was to hear from their family, from their friends, and from groups. They determined that people were seeing too many posts from businesses and organizations, and they were seeing too many ads. And they said, if people really want to get connected and we really want to build community, then what we need to see is from friends and family more than businesses. And so this was a pretty drastic change, and it really affects now how churches use Facebook. Because if you focus on your page, and this goes for any business, not just for churches, what you will see is only a high-performing page now has a reach of about 5.2%. That's abysmal. It's terrible. Only 5% of the people that have liked your page will see it at first. And then what happens, based on how people interact and see that post, if they like it, if they comment, if they share it, it will start gradually rolling it out to more and more people that have liked your page. But so many posts that you do on your Facebook page never get seen. And so that's a little bit scary. But here is what Facebook did. They determined that groups was going to be the future of Facebook. And so they've put their emphasis on groups, adding new features to groups and using groups in order to build community. Right now, 8 out of 10 Americans actively use Facebook. Only 2 out of 10 actively go to church. And so just by statistics alone, if we want to go where people are, then Facebook is the platform we need to use to do that. What if I told you that your Facebook group It could be a place that builds community every single day of the week. What if I told you your Facebook group could literally be another campus for your church? Not a physical campus, but an online campus for your church where people interact throughout the week, where pastors can interact and teach and train and disciple people, where people can encourage one another and exhort one another throughout the week. That's the power of Facebook groups. Nona Jones, who is the Director of Faith-Based Partnerships for Facebook currently, she said this. She said, "It is our goal to build a church where you can always access the support you need to grow spiritually and face life's challenges with your church family by your side." And so this is how she rolled out a Facebook group to her church. So today I'm excited to announce we are launching a new Facebook campus so that you can always stay connected to one another and our leaders. Even more, our new campus will allow you to invite your friends, family, and coworkers to connect with our ministry in a way that meets them where they are. It's going to be an important companion to our physical gatherings because even if you can't attend worship or an event, you can still be present with us as your church family. That's how they announced the formation of a Facebook group. It's a place where you can, even if you cannot attend, you can still be present with your church family. And so let me just ask you as we get started in this, how many groups are you a part of now and how you use Facebook? For me, I'm a number of over 100 different groups. And the thing that I notice is the groups are really why I'm on Facebook. That's really the benefit to me. I enjoy seeing pictures from friends and families, but when I get on a group with other like-minded individuals, and I'm on all sorts of groups, church technology groups, church social media groups, pastor groups, cooking groups. I love to use my smoker. All sorts of different groups I'm a part of, but that's where you build community. That's where you really get in and you share information and you learn. And so groups have really, for me, transformed the way I use Facebook. So I really, this entire course is going to be about how you can really set that up and help your church. Let me talk about a few things real quick. Before we go any further, we need to make sure we're crystal clear on our terminology. And so let's talk about that for a minute. When you use Facebook, you have really three different main building blocks that you start with. You have profiles. So when you first sign up for Facebook, you create a profile. And a profile is a real person. And so it's your name, it's your phone number or email address, it's your login information, it's your birth date, it's all the information about you, it's your profile picture. That is a profile. And profiles, we need to be clear on this. Facebook requires in their terms of service that your profile has to be a couple of things. It has to be a real person. And so it cannot simply be like my church is Cornerstone Church. It cannot be a Cornerstone Church as a profile. No, it's got to be a real person. And they're really strict about this. So it can't be a generic idea. It can't be a fake name. It can't be, it can't be Preacher Man. That's my nickname on my phone that my kids put on there. No, it's not that. It's got to be Mike Morris. That's what Facebook requires. It also means that you're not supposed to have joint accounts like husband and wife accounts and all that, but everybody does that, but they could crack down on that. And I'll talk a little bit more as we get into the course why this is important, but you start with your profile, and that has to be your real person, and everybody that's on Facebook has their own profile. Then you have pages. Pages are for organizations, businesses, and churches. What a Facebook page is, it's separate from a profile. So these are really not connected in any way. You create your Facebook page. Once you're logged in with your profile, you can create a page. And your page represents your business, your organization, your church. And so this is not just an individual, this is an organization. It can also be a band, or it could be a an artist page. It could be something, but it's more than just an individual page. This is representing some type of an organization, business, church, etc. So then once you create a page, you can add administrators to the page. And so you can have multiple administrators. And so if you have a church page, you won't want more than one administrator. You want multiple administrators on the page, and you have different roles you can assign to people. But that way, once you get multiple people assigned to that page, any of those people can manage the page for you. That's important in case someone leaves the church, someone's out of the country, you need access to the page, you have it. So that's the difference between a profile and a page. Now a group is the third building block, and a group is a little bit different. A group then is a collection, it's a community of profiles and or pages. And so what I mean by that is a group, you can create a group, and anybody can create a group, and a group is just a collection of profiles of people in that group. Now it gets a little complicated because pages can join a group. So you can have a mix of pages and profiles inside of a single group. And not only that, a group can be linked back to a page. So you can see here, this is why we have to be very clear on how all these things work together. You have profiles, which are people. You have pages, which are organizations. Then you have groups, which are collections of those two things. So really the purpose of each is different. A profile is a place where you can share what you're learning, what you're thinking, your family events, your pictures, your life, just your day-to-day life. Your page is where you share about your organization, what it's doing, and what things are coming up, and you're getting interaction with people who have liked or followed your page. The group then is a place where the people can share with each other. It's a place to build community. I've seen churches make some mistakes here. I see churches, I've seen this more than once, and every time I do, I cringe. I see they create their church page as a profile. And the way I know this is I'll get a friend request from a church, and I'm like, wait a minute, I can't get a friend request from a church. I can be invited to follow a church, but I can't get a friend request from a church. When I see that, I realize, or I get that from a business or an organization, they've created the wrong type of an account. They've created a profile instead of a page. Here's the issue with that. It goes against Facebook's terms of service. At some point in time, somebody's going to report it, they're going to notice it, and you're going to lose that entire profile. They're going to shut it down and say, this does not meet our terms of service. That's why you don't want to spend all your time doing something only to lose it down the road. The other problem I see, and I've seen this a lot over the last 6 months, is Facebook is removing access and blocking pages that have people that are administrators that aren't real people. And so what I mean by this, a lot of churches do this, and I was reading a post on a group today about a church that was doing this. They have a generic login for anybody on their technology team, on their live stream team, so that they don't have to use their personal login to log into the church computer on Facebook. And so what this means, they have just a generic live stream operator account for Facebook. They've created a fake profile just for their church to use to log in to do their live stream. The problem with this is if Facebook finds out, if it gets reported, if they notice it, you're going to lose access not just to that profile, but to your entire page, since a fake person has access to the page. Now, there's ways to get it back, but it's not easy. And you don't want to go through that long drawn out process. So believe me, save the time now, understand what profiles are, understand what pages are, understand what groups are, and use them the right way, and you will save yourself a ton of trouble down the road. And so again, a page is your business's profile, your church's profile. It's got all the information about your church. The focus on it is the content that you're posting. But a group is different. The focus of your group is to get members to join and interact with each other. And so there's all sorts of ways we can choose who posts and what posts are approved, and we'll get into all that. But just understand, a page is for you to push information out. A group is for people to interact with each other. So one last thing we'll talk about in this lesson is what is the purpose of the different tools you have available. And so first, because when you start thinking about a Facebook group, why would you use a Facebook group, or what is the difference between that and your website, or with Instagram, or with Twitter, or with whatever else? Let me kind of go through some of these and just kind of explain how they work together. Your website in the past used to be your central hub for your church. And I still believe in websites. I'm a website designer myself. And so I work with many churches on creating effective websites that people will interact with and use, and that have good information. And when in a Google age where people are Googling information about your church, that's why a good website is so important. Because more than likely, their first experience with your church will be through Google when they find your church. Now, Google will show them your Facebook page and your website, so you need both. But a website is kind of that point that has all the information that people find about your church when they first are searching for it. Now, the issue with websites is that people don't continue to go back to your website over and over again. Once they go to your website, when they're searching, they want to have the information easily accessible. They want to find it. But after that point, it's really hard to get people to go back to your website unless they're really part of your core committed group that is using the website for ministry purposes. They're finding out their schedule, or they're listening to a sermon they missed, or whatever the need, but they may be going back to your website over and over again. But for most people, they'll visit it when they're searching, and that's it. And so the difference with Facebook is they're on Facebook every single day. And so instead of doing something to get them to go to your website, you go ahead and post where they already are congregating. And so you're going to where they are. And so with a Facebook group, you've got a group of people posting content throughout the week, sharing with each other. This is the perfect place, right, to share information, to keep people updated, to share announcements even, right, in a way that people don't have to go and remember to go visit your website. So that's one thing. What is Instagram? Instagram is a great tool to share photos, to share pictures with each other, and it's extremely popular with younger generations, with millennials and Gen Z, and you see how they're using it. And that's a great place to be. The thing about Facebook, or the thing about Instagram, it is owned by Facebook, so there's some overlap between the two, but it's based on images. And so it's kind of its whole little social network, and there's some good things you can do there as well as a church to interact. And you've got Instagram stories, you've got Instagram Reels, you've got Instagram TV, lots of ways you can interact. But the good thing is you can even use some of the tools on Facebook, your Creator Studio, your Business Suite, to be able to cross-post between Instagram and Facebook. So Instagram is more focused on pictures, but you can also do that on Facebook. So that's Instagram. Twitter is just your short form sentence, your memorable quote, what you're learning, what you're thinking. A lot of churches are on Twitter. A lot of pastors are on Twitter. I probably lean towards not being your primary focus as a church, just because I don't see it having quite as much traction with everybody. It's not as widely accepted as Facebook, but it's a good place to share what's on your mind. TikTok is another great new platform that our younger generations are using. Just short videos that get your attention. Great time waster if you're not on it. I don't know that I recommend it just because it can waste a whole lot of time. But there's a lot of opportunity there. And so there's a few churches using it, a few Christian influencers using it, but there's a lot of upside there if you want to spend some time learning how to use TikTok. Podcasts are really popular now. Podcasts can be both audio or video. Now that Spotify has got in the podcast game, you're going to see it even explode even further. So you've got Apple Podcasts, you've got Spotify, you've got Google Play podcast. You got all these different ways to listen to it, and all these different apps that allow you to listen to podcasts. And it goes far beyond just sermon podcasts. You've got all sorts of different information you can use there. Clubhouse. It's like an interactive podcast. That's a brand new one that's kind of invite only right now. That's really gaining some traction. It's another neat new platform. Your church live stream. It's a place where people can join in and see what's going on in real time on Sunday morning. Now, the interesting thing about everything I just mentioned is Facebook does every single one of those things. And so you can get overwhelmed trying to use every one of these platforms and reach people and do all these different things and all these different formats. Or you can choose one platform that does it all, and one platform where the majority of people already are. That's again that is again why Facebook is so important for ministry. It's you can use it to do ministry. You can use it to reach people where they are. And so that's really why we use it. If you got to the end of this and you're still needing to explain to your church leadership team why you should have a Facebook group, here's what I would just simply say. If we want to do discipleship online, we need to be on a Facebook group. And the plain reality is, if you use Facebook groups, you will be much more effective than just using your Facebook page alone. One of the things I share a lot is I believe online ministry is doing discipleship from a distance. And so we're used to doing discipleship one-on-one, sitting across a table, talking with someone over a cup of coffee. Well, we can do the same thing over social media. Now, again, it's maybe not as ideal, but it can be just as effective. When we really interact with each other, when we spend time with each other to do this discipleship. Discipleship is simply the process of coming alongside people in an intentional way to enable them to grow and mature in their faith. And when we use Facebook groups, that's what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. And as you'll learn as we go through this course, the beauty of it is you don't have to do it all by yourself. Once you get this set up correctly, once you get this going, you see the body of Christ find their place and motivate each other throughout the week. This past Sunday, I was preaching a message, and I mentioned the Christian miniseries, The Chosen. And I don't know if you've seen that yet. A really neat, well done Bible series. And I was talking about a scene from that, and I didn't share it in the service because of all the copyright laws and live streaming. And I just said, hey, I'll share it later. I'll tell you about it, but let me just explain it to you. What I noticed when I got home, on our Facebook group for our church, someone had already posted the video, and people were already talking about how you could watch it and what they had learned from watching The Chosen and how exciting it was. And so what happened? I planted a seed during a message, but the Facebook group took it and ran with it without me having to do anything. Again, that's the power of Facebook groups. It empowers the people in your church to start ministering to one another. And isn't that what we want to do? To equip the saints for the work of ministry, as Ephesians 4 tells us? And so let me just invite you into this whole process that social media is a tool we can use to do this discipleship. One last thing I'll mention, and then we'll in the next week we'll get into the settings for your group and how to set everything up. One of your questions may be, how many groups should I have? How many pages should I have? How do these things interact? Here's what I'm going to recommend. And now this is just my opinion, so I want to preface it with that. You can do this in a number of ways, and there may be valid reasons you want to do something different. But for most churches, you need one primary page for your church. That's going to be your primary page that represents your entire church. The reason you need a page to run ads as a church. You need a page to do, as a place, as a public place for your live stream, or for people to find out information about your church, to easily find your church. So you need that public page. That's important. And really all you need is one. If you have multiple pages, what you're doing is diluting your influence, and you have to spend a lot of time trying to build each page separately. Focus on one page, build it up. Then I recommend having one large group for your church. This is a private group that you use to build community. And again, we'll talk about the difference between public and private and all that as we get into the settings. But this is a place where you build community throughout the week, and everybody's joining together. You can share announcements about your church, and the page is for people who don't attend your church primarily. The group is for people who are already connected to your church. So one big, large group. Then you can have multiple smaller groups for individual ministries within your church. So you may have a group for your youth ministry. You may have a group for your children's volunteers. You may have a group for your worship team. We even have a group for our elders or our senior leadership team that we share prayer requests. It's a private group that's unlisted, so it's kind of a secret group that nobody can find just searching, but it's a group where we can get together, pray for each other, share prayer requests, we can even take polls, we can get ideas, we can do our meeting agendas, we can share spreadsheets and files and Word documents and sermon outlines. We do all of that inside of a Facebook group. And so what you see is Facebook groups have incredible power. And so you can use them as a big group for your church. You can use them for a smaller ministry. You can use them as any place where you've got a group of like-minded people that you want to share information together. That is a great use for them. And so we've covered a lot. We've been on a little over 30 minutes. But what this, hopefully you've learned today, is that you really do need a Facebook group. And so if you don't have one, and we're going to teach you how to do it. We're going to walk you step by step through the whole process. If you already have one and you're not using it effectively or you're not really doing it the right way, then let's relaunch it. Let's explain to our church the value, the reason why we're doing it. And what we're going to learn as we go through the rest of these lessons is how Facebook groups can help you grow your church, how they can help you do discipleship, how they can help you build community, and how they can help you fulfill the Great Commission that God has given us. So God bless. Thanks for this. Next week, we'll jump in, or the next time you jump on, we'll be going over all the settings for your Facebook group.